Weekend? I always feel a little awkward going to LGBT events as a bisexual woman. I kind of feel like bisexuality is like the gluten intolerance of sexualities. Because if you tell people that's what you are, like 50% of the time they're gonna be like, I don't think that's a thing. Like, my cousin Kelly in college, she said that was like her thing, and then she married a man and they ate tons of breadsticks. So like, I don't think it's a thing. And it's also like, I feel like if someone knows one person who they came out as bi and it turns out it was just a phase, or it was like part of their journey to coming out as gay, like that's it for them. They won't believe you. Just one person. I feel like the same thing would be like if when Rachel Dolezal, the woman who was pretending to be black, if people saw that and then immediately went to like all their black friends and were like, can we like check your ancestry.com thing like real quick? Like, no big deal, just curious. I know. Kind of same thing. So I'm training for a half marathon right now. That's a bad idea. It's a very bad plan. I'm very, very bad at running, very slow, but I do races. And I don't let the fact that like everyone passes me get me down too bad. Like, children pass me, but like they're full of youthful energy. And like some of them have never had to do the Macarena, so their souls aren't weighted down by a lot. Like, and I don't feel bad when like people in their 60s or 70s pass me because they've had so long to perfect their form. Like just their dynamic breathing is great. But this one time I did feel a little embarrassed. So it was a couple summers ago, I was running a 5K and a woman who looked to be about her 80s with a broken arm passed me. But that wasn't what got me. What got me was she passed me and I saw her face and she wanted to ask me if I was okay. Because when I'm running, my facial expression is kind of like a combo of like I've just seen the last scene of Toy Story 3 and I've stubbed all my toes. I'm a little pain, I'm kind of listing to the right, I don't know what that's about. And so she saw like she was concerned about me and she's about to see it, and then I watched her face and she assessed our situations. Like octogenarian in a sling, gliding through, and then like woman in the prime of her life, slain by moderate cardio. And she decided not to spare my pride, and that was embarrassing. I got to the finish line, I didn't even take my complimentary banana. I'm like, I don't deserve potassium. I don't deserve it. So I recently realized how bad my public education was. It was really bad. We watched a ton of movies, and not like educational ones. In my 9th grade science class, we watched so many movies, and we started with Twister, which, okay, like we were studying the weather, there's some science threads there. Then we went into Volcano, which if you're not up on your 90s cinema, that is about volcanoes erupting in downtown LA. So we're moving farther away from science. Next, Disney's Dinosaurs. That sounds sciencey, right? Actually about dinosaur being raised by lemurs. I hadn't had a lot of education at that point, I knew that was off. And then we finished with The Incredibles, which I'm pretty sure is the closest a teacher without getting fired can do to say, fuck this. Like that's the closest, like, I'm supposed to teach you about science, but like here's a woman whose body becomes a parachute. Don't worry about it. So it's okay. We had something called Film Days. And Film Days is when they herded the entire grade into the auditorium and we watched movies. And the only themes to these movies were the longest movies ever made. We watched there all the way up, causing us to bring blankets, which when you put a lot of teenagers in blankets in a dark room, things happen. There might have been people conceived, like during Ben-Hur, I don't know. But what was great about that, and I don't think my teachers were that clever, I don't think they realized this, but the subheading of Ben-Hur is a Christ story, and I went to a public school, but they have solved the culture wars with this, because any really religious parent would be super excited that we were watching a Christ story. And any really atheist, like gung-ho parent, would be really excited that during a Christ story, people were getting to third base. So it worked for everyone. It was really, really great. So I really like subway signs, like crazy religious people who have subway signs. And the other day I saw Save the Pope from Satan, which I don't know a lot about the Pope, but I feel like if he's been captured by Satan, he'd probably want to be freed. But what was great was the only picture on the sign was a picture of the Queen of England. And that means there are 3 possible reasons why that was. The person who created the sign thinks the Queen of England is the Pope. Honest mistake. The person who created the sign thinks the Queen of England is Satan. Or what I hope is the case is the Queen of England is leading the rescue attempt to get the Pope from Satan. I think she's got that down. I was really, as a kid, I was really nervous about hell. It's just the thought terrified me. And so I was drawn to Judaism when I found out that there was no hell. If you're wondering where in my wonderful public education I learned about Judaism, that would be from Seventh Heaven, which was my favorite show of all time. And I guess I talked about my love of Seventh Heaven well into my 20s because, and I don't know if I'm going to be the person to tell you this, but the dad from Seventh Heaven, they found out that he molested young girls. Very, very terrible. And it was a very strange day, the day that news broke, because I started getting texts from my friends that I believe are the kind of texts that you would get if news of a tornado hitting your hometown was like, hey, I just heard. Have you heard? You okay? I know. And I was talking to one of my friends a little later, and she's like, yeah, as soon as I heard the news, you're the first person I thought of. And that's not when you want to be the first person. Oh, bring the child molester. You popped in your mind. You want to be the first person that's like, hey, there's a Keira Knightley look-alike contest downtown. You're the first person who came to my mind. That's just instant. Yeah, so also when the rapture was happening, not when the rapture was happening. Yeah, you guys missed it. So we didn't get raptured, I'm sorry. But when people were thinking the rapture was happening, so I'm not a full atheist, I'm agnostic again.